Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Elden Ring Unpatched, our Fear the Old Lore playthrough of the 1.00 version of the game. Hope everyone's doing well. Yesterday we left off going through the first portion of Volcano Manor, completing most of the side quests that we could, and ending before we could go to fight Juno in the mountaintops of the giants. And so after that, we went through the first portion of the Volcano Manor prison town, and I wanted to go back through to the Iron Maiden entrance, so I decided to teleport back to Thops because I forgot to talk to him after we got the key, so that would remind me to go back to Liurnia. So once we talk to Thops, we'll just kind of go back to Raya and into the Volcano Manor from there. Hey Rat, nice to see you. Alexander Warrior Jar. Hello, Brave Tarnished. Don't uppercut me, bro. Alright, so let's see what Thops has to say about everything. And we finished Selwyn's quest, but it's a little bit unfortunate he doesn't really get more dialogue related to that.
Back to learn another? Wonderful. You're most welcome to any of my anemic little spells. Are you certain you're willing to give your glintstone key to me? My, oh my. Thank you. Thank you dearly. Now I can go back to the academy to resume my study of glintstone sorceries. And the very stars.
Alright, so now that we've talked to Thopas about the key, it's kind of a weird pose, actually. What all does he have to sell? Glintstone, Pebble, and Arc, and Starlight. I'll just buy it all.
Thank you, kind soul, for learning my paltry sorceries. I never imagined that a bluntstone like myself would have the chance to play teacher. Thank you dearly. With your blessing, I will depart for the Academy of Raya Lucaria. Or perhaps one day you'll pay me a visit? Who knows? I may be a decorated sorcerer by then.
Alright, so now we can go see where he is in Raya Lucaria. It's one hell of a victory pose there, I guess. He's clutching like his amulet, I guess. Alright. So yeah, his name is Thops, or like Tops. He says it with like a long O sound, Rat, not Tokes. So let's go to the classroom. Yeah, and then we'll be able to see him. Your joke is only funny if it's Tokes? Well, hate to break it to you, but you don't have a funny joke. You just have a pile of lies. So as we come out here, Thops kind of gets the Orbeck of Vinheim treatment, where he finally gets into essentially the research center of what's called the Lands Between. So he dies, and from that we get his bell bearing, the glintstone staff, and his barrier. Check out that inventory. Creates a wall of light that deflects enemy spells. And then the bell bearing, and then the staff. A staff with a blue glintstone embedded at the tip. Serves as a catalyst for glintstone sorcery. Containing blue glintstone, the symbol of the Carian royal family, this staff makes their glintsword sorcery stronger. Alright. So that's it. Obviously in retail, it does talk a bit more about how Thops' discovery is kind of worthy of a brand new conspectus. Conspectus just being a fancier term for school. And I did mention it, I think, the first time we came to Raya Lucaria, but as we come down here, I've wondered whether or not this stone-looking pillar kind of thing is actually the remnants of another gigantic tree. because it's covered in glintstone, and if glintstone is literally supposed to be sap or amber specifically, that would just kind of all tie in together that way. And this extends even further down into the Lake of Rot. So now we gotta follow Patch's advice and get got by the maiden. It probably takes a couple grabs at this level that we're at. Well, actual grabs, that is. Alright, now we'll be transported to Volcano Manor, Part 2, Lava Boogaloo. Alright, so as we come to Volcano Manor, I didn't really show it off the first time we came down here. Well, not this section specifically, but when we first warped in, you can kind of look down and see everything. So the prison church is like right above us, and to the left is where you'd find the Snake Man around the corner, the little town over there, and then that building over there is the kind of manor where we left off yesterday. So it almost seems like you could jump down there if you could survive the lava, or even potentially like make it on those cliffs, but I don't think you can. It's just ever so slightly out of reach. Why are the virgin abductors in Raya Lucaria? That's a good question. A lot of people like to believe that Rykard created the Iron Virgins, and since he is a son of the Carian royalty, it could make sense that he placed the virgins at his old stomping grounds. But with that being said, it doesn't really help explain why so many of them can be found in Lane Dell by the fortified manor, or the abandoned cave or whatever it's called in Caelid, where you can get the venomous claw or whatever this, like, the snake looking claw is. Got a frenzy flamestone. That's kind of weird. See it? Not a ton going on over here. I do think it's a little bit unfortunate that this area doesn't like connect directly into the Volcano Manor. And also, welcome back to the stream, Bacchus. Zoink Scoop. I thought the other one got hit. There we go. Sorry if you guys hear the dog chomping on a bone in the background. Yeah, as we come down further and further, we do get some more lava slugs. When you hit these ones, they kind of bleed, quote unquote, a lava color. Big surprise. So I don't exactly know what the deal is between like slugs and snails with the bone calling or spirit calling snails and everything. And then there's also those who live in death variant of the snails. Although I don't think those resurrect. I might need to double check. It's been a while since I actually bothered to kill one. But generally, it's just kind of my headcanon that since they're in an area that's filled with lava, they've just kind of taken on the properties of that thing as well. But that wouldn't necessarily explain some of the ones that we find in Liurnia, unless you want to just like pin it on the fire monks and the random smoldering butterflies that surround them. But it's a little bit of a chicken versus egg situation. It's like Did the smoldering butterflies make the snails become lavafied? Or is it the presence of the snails that attracted the butterflies? Alright. So we get another little side of grace. The subterranean torture chamber. So this is definitely part of Volcano Manor. It has the same kind of architecture and stuff as well. I think these pillars also appear in L-File. I would need to double check though. So maybe just reuse of assets, or maybe Volcano Manor and L-File might be connected in a way that we're not sure of. But I'm just kind of leaning it towards it not actually working out. So the reason why I laughed right there is because I kind of remembered something. It's this. Yeah, in this version of the game, the floor isn't lava. So you can just kind of walk across it with impunity. Which is kind of nice. Not that there's like really a ton of items over here, but you don't really have to jump between the pillars to traverse through here. Wonder if there's... Okay, didn't think so. That's too from soft lenient. Who is more of a threat, Mohg or Rykard? It's kind of weird because like Rykard seems somewhat content to just chill in his man cave, her snake man cave, and let food get brought to him. Whereas Mohg, at least, well, I guess they're both like unleashing their adherence on the greater world. Yeah, I don't know. Who do you think is more lethal, the Recusants or the Bloody Fingers? I almost feel like the Recusants, because they're like targeting some of the most distinguished Tarnished and some that like help others quite a lot. So it seems like they would be overall weakening the strength of the Tarnished in a way that the Bloody Fingers aren't, which seem a little bit more randomized. But in terms of gameplay mechanics, you know, probably Rykard, because he's almost unbeatable without the spear. Obviously, people have like cheesed the crap out of him with ridiculously overpowered builds, but you could also do the same to Mohg. Uh-oh. Mayo got, what did you say? Together? I guess too many caps. That's unfortunate. Together. You'd be afraid of the outer Godskins more than a devouring serpent? Mohg's hidden away, actively recruiting. Okay. So this is going to be painful. I don't really want to fight these at all because it just brings us out into the Sea of the Water terminus, essentially, and there's really not a lot there that's worthwhile going for. But maybe I'm at an overpowered enough state where it won't be too terrible. I'm not. Okay, I done goofed. I should probably take off some of these spells so that my Mimic actually does more useful things. Oh, there's too many emoji? Yeah, I've like trimmed down on some of its like anti-spam features, but it's still kind of a pain in the butt. I'll need to like look into that more closely. It's like pulling weeds where you just like fix one issue and then another one sprouts up. Obviously, I'm exaggerating a little bit because the issue would have still been there to begin with. But I need that bot to tell me to sit up straight and to drink occasionally. Trying to not get got by the abductors. Difficulty, moderate. That's what I get for like changing my spell out real quick. Oh, damn it. Oh, damn it. I really screwed up. Bro, that animation time. Holy crap. Oh, the Mimic was doing a lot of work. I was not even paying attention to that. I was hyper fixated on my, you know, expert level command inputs right there. Uh-oh. So now I'm mashing. Hopefully, yeah, I only took like 2 ticks of damage, so it helps for sure to do that. Oh, he cast it. Oh, God. Sweet. You'll use 2 emojis next time? Thanks, Mayo. Oh, it's eating the Mimic. I should have just kept attacking. There we go. Tortures Girandol. Sweet. Okay, that was not as bad. I just was bad at the beginning. Sweet. Some more lore. Love to see the tool belt flasks. Hey, Saint Trina. Nice to see you again. Yeah, apparently I caused psychic damage to Teen Sith with my placement of them. Everybody has their own style, though. Let's go... Okay. Yeah, let's look out the cave. So this one will take us to where we fought the Tibia Mariner. And we do have, like, the Windham Ruins over there. Wyndham. Whatever they are. Spectre, how's it going, man? Nice to see you. Is it Torturers instead of Inquisitors? Let me look. I actually don't remember. Inquisitors, Girandol, Torturers. I never read the Serpent Bone Blade. Sinister katana with serpent bone ornamentation. The densely packed row of spines that jut away from the cutting edge are coated in a lethal poison. Erratic slashes? That's a very different Ash of War. Like, this is... Wait, no. It just has inherent poison, and that's why it can't be... It can't take on another Ash of War. Because this one, when I was looking through like the Ash of War lore and trying to understand the mechanical reasons why certain weapons required somber smithing stones, I came to the conclusion that mostly they either have to have like a unique Ash of War or they have like unique properties in the weapon itself that doesn't gel well with needing the normal upgrade path, I guess. And so what I came to in conclusion with Serpent Bone Blade specifically is because it's an intrinsically poison weapon, that's why it's not generic. Instrument of torture used on nobles behind the curtain at the Volcano Manor of Mount Gelmir. Its numerous spikes pierce the flesh before burning it in the weapon's flames. The smell of burnt blood inducing despair in the victim. A candlestick conceived by a thorough mind. This one is a lore alert? Yeah. So, I find this one... So, did I mention this in my video? Maybe I didn't, and I meant to. Yeah, this has been on my radar for a long time. So, when I've talked before about despair and that, like, influencing people, I've also wondered whether or not the Torturer's Girandol being able to burn blood could mean that fire was meant to burn gold, because we do have gold appearing in the beast blood. So I think we can safely extrapolate that there's probably gold in human blood just because of the way that like the land octopus ovaries work. They need human blood in order to reproduce. Maybe because like land octopi can have spirits, but they need the extra will to actually give birth. I don't know. At least we can get land octopi spirit ashes. Wait. No, we get land squirts, not octopi. Nonetheless, going back to the Girandol, because it's a super cool item. Yeah. Burnt blood induces despair in the victim. I've wondered if burning their blood is literally burning their gold. So if their will is literally leaving their body, could that induce them into a state of despair? I don't know if that's, 100% the case, but it seems likely enough that it's a kind of theory that I am more comfortable with kind of proposing. Did we fight Moog? We fought the one underneath Landau. We haven't fought Papa Moog. The retail description's almost word for word with this one. I think they changed it ever so slightly because the second paragraph, second sentence is a little bit is like a sentence fragment. Are any of the Biden's good weapons? Never used one. I haven't used one either. Just in general, like every weapon is viable in its own way. Like this one, I remember people use this a lot in PvP towards like the beginning of the game, but I don't really remember why. I'm not like super knowledgeable about PvP stuff, unfortunately. If you were impaled and then caught on fire, you too would be in despair. I'll hold back on like making a Navy joke about that. All right, so that was the one section of Volcano Manor that we just went through. That's a big animal. Oh, I guess at first I thought it was a dog, but no, that's like more like a cow or something. Okay, so we went through there, and I thought I was gonna go through someplace else that we talked to Thops. It reminded me of something. Oh, right. So before going back through the rest of Volcano Manor, I'll go through the Road of Iniquity and go through the front. So that'll just kind of like tie in with this area going back down to the cliffs. So this way we can go fight Anastasia. As well as the Ulcerated Tree Spirit, and then we'll finish off with Volcano Manor. Burning while being impaled sounds quite lovely. You know, it's just a little bit of acupuncture and heat therapy. I don't know. Sounds like a good time. Oh yeah. So coming up here, we have an Ulcerated Tree Spirit in front of a burned Erdtree. And how this Erdtree came to be burned is a bit questionable because we do have some of those giant flame descriptions saying that they sealed away the flame of ruin, so that way the Erdtree couldn't be burned again. But surprise, they still managed to do it somehow. And one of the things that I've wondered about that in particular is, even though it says like it was the birth of the Erdtree during the war against the giants, I've wondered if it's not just like the big Erdtree in Leyndell that could have been burned, if it could have just been multiple Erdtrees that had spawned by the time of the war against the giants. And so maybe they just only referenced the one on the mountaintops that is burned up there as well. So you could possibly argue the big Erdtree didn't get burned, but I mean, there's a ton of ash decorating the interior of Leyndell. There was a worm face here in the mines? I don't remember that one. Leaden hard tier and the cerulean hidden tier. Oh, is that the like super OP one? Yeah. So, with this being burned, I wonder if it was done by Frenzy Flame, Black Flame, the Gelmir sorceries, or potentially like the Giant's Flame, but we don't really see the Giant's Flame stuff in use in the Volcano Manor itself. And I doubt Ghost Flame would have done it, but I guess that's also a possible candidate. Alright, so we got rid of that spirit. So yeah, we do have a Sallow Ember, so maybe it could imply that the Frenzy Flame was used for it. Because we do know the Frenzy Flame is capable of burning the Erdtree with the Frenzy Flame kiln scene, I guess. Although maybe it's not technically the Frenzy Flames that do it, because we just become a person who has the vision of fire, I guess. It's a little bit weird how that works. One who envisions the flame. Fudge. I'm good at video games. Yeah, and so there's just a ton of corpses littering the mountainside of Mount Gelmir. So we get Beast Blood, and this is kind of an old divine tower path almost. It has the old highway style of the ancient or Elden Ring symbol. But it was obviously broken, so... Oh yeah, I think I looked at the map for the Gelmir mountainside thing, Mount Gelmir. Oh yeah, so map of Mount Germian and environs. In retail, it talks about how the features of Mount Gelmir became more pronounced after the shattering or something like that. So we do know that the landscape has actually changed as a result of the shattering, which a lot of people have questions about, but there is that kind of explicit saying within that item right there. So... Are we not being invaded? She should show up here, so maybe they patched it in later. Or maybe it's because we're a member of Volcano Manor, but that doesn't make sense because she'll still invade on the mountaintops, I'm sure. In the consecrated snowfield. Erd Tree Vow. That's strange. Alright, so next, hopefully we can pick up the Scavenger Curve sword. I think it might be gone in this version, but I don't remember exactly. Raises attack power and damage negation within radius. She's further down? Okay, I just remember fighting her, like, by the shack. I feel like it should have already happened by now, for sure. Yeah, I'm just gonna say, she's scared. I, switch targets. I will say, like, the one thing that's super underrated about colossal weapons is just how well they work on horseback. Because you can just, like, fling anything up into the air. Almost. Unless it's, like, a gigantic thing. You died by deathbite before getting to the Ulcerated boss? Oh, wait, I think... Yeah, I kind of remember what you're talking about. Does anything about Lindell mention all the ash before we burn the Erd Tree? No, like, nothing specifically. Like, you could make the argument that it could have been, like, the war against the dragons, because it talks about the first defense of Lindell, and then the second defense. So it just becomes a question of whether the ash in Lindell was there before it was built or afterwards. I mean, obviously it doesn't make sense for the ash to have been there from before it was built. So Grant's axe is a good suspect as to what could have burned the Erd Tree at that point in the game, or in the history. I don't want to deal with these. Let me look. I thought the scavenger curved swords were down here. Maybe not like in this area specifically, just in this section of the world. The only bad thing about it is you can only get one per playthrough unless you have somebody mule you another one. Damn, I always forgot how many of these there were here. Blood Rose. This dude's alive. Wait. Oh yeah. the Lindole dudes are attacking. That makes sense. Strength build and a heavy greatsword and Torrent is OP for sure. Hey, thanks, Yogi. Welcome into the stream. Nice to have you. Sorry, Alfarius. What's your question? Does that apply to the weapon art since they use FP? Were you talking about, like, the serpent mode blade? Okay. Let's look for our sword. It is kind of funny that the things can't consume like regular NPCs, but they can still consume the mimic tier. Alright, yeah, looks like this is a bust. That's sad. Unless it's on the next level. Oh, does that apply to weapon art since they use FP? I think so. I think it just stops anything that uses FP. Or there might be like another tier that does that a bit more specifically, because it makes it sound like this is only good for one attack. But yeah, this is... They had to nerf that tier because it was so ridiculously strong that people would just like use Terra Magica plus Common Azure and just like have an unlimited Kamehameha. We definitely have been through here enough. Alright, I'm just gonna go across the ravine and look up there a little bit, and then I'm gonna teleport back to the manor. It doesn't really halt FP usage. It gives you infinite FP since you can use it. Since if you use it, you can cast spells above your FP. Oh, it goes above your current FP? I didn't even know that. Shows how much I used it. This is where the Grafted Scion attacked. We went up to the left side to talk to the merchant. So I think this is pretty much the only way we haven't gone up this mountain. Other than the actual caves. Yeah, I just don't think it's in this version, which is sad. And also kind of funny because it did make an appearance in like the promotional videos and stuff. Should be another doll up top. Oh, that's kind of cute. They're both like staring at the lily. Trina's lily. Okay. That'll be it for my excursion over here. Let's go back into... Wait. Oh, I'm just blind. Guest hall. Unpatched Hoarfrost Stomp user complaining that the laser spell is OP. Oh, I wasn't complaining. I was just saying. People abused it, just like I'm abusing this. And also, my first playthrough was an Unga Bunga build. Hey, we got the dumpling, sweet. Called Black Howl. And also, welcome back to the stream. Shadows died twice, welcome to the stream. I was wondering if the snake would come. Yeah. Trying to fight Millennia, especially with a colossal sword, was a little bit rough. You had like a 50 in FP and summoned a Crucible Knight, which is triple digits? Okay. It's mega overpowered, unlimited wind scar with the Blasphemous Blade would nuke any boss in seconds. Hey SNX, welcome back. We went through Thops' little bit of a quest, and then we just traversed the rest of the mountain surrounding Volcano Manor, and now we're just going back in from where we left off last stream. So we explored this fully yesterday, and now we get into like the little submerged town area. Let's check out the cowl we've just picked up. Where it is. Why is it so far down? They definitely moved that because it's way lighter than everything else. Red cloth blindfold used to cover prisoner's eyes. Okay, so that is a lot more bare bones. So in the retail build, it talks about how Rykard was torturing people to essentially get them to despair, I guess. Don't remember exactly what it says. I might want to like look at that real quick. Forgot about that guy. And that one. Zoink Scoob. I forgot real lava actually slows you down. Zoinks. Feels bad. I actually like try to cast spells and they do like no damage. Anyway, I'm just gonna ignore them. Lander's Rune. So, no, okay, that's a different one. A little known fact about Volcano Manor. At one point in time, it used to have a Pizza Hut. Thops didn't reveal the true maze to us? Shake your head. You got lost in Redgrave's Pale Blood Hunt? You reread it time to time to get your lore theorist mindset going? Honestly, I wouldn't really recommend Pale Blood Hunt. It has many, many issues. I know it starts off as saying, like, it breaks up one section of the lore into, like, fact, and then the other is just, like, his belief. But he does not follow that whatsoever. He starts off pretty okay, and then it just kind of degenerates in a lot of places. So he says a lot of factual things that aren't facts, and it really ends up confusing a lot more of the community than I think it ultimately helps, other than just like getting people into the lore to a certain degree. But in some ways, it's harder to unlearn something that's wrong than it is to not learn anything at all. So, have mostly negative to mixed feelings about it, unfortunately. But hopefully you enjoyed it nonetheless. Hey Mercy, welcome back to the stream. That's a hell of a factoid to come into the stream on. Hey Ponyboy, welcome back. Any good reading you recommend then? For lore stuff, I do have a couple essays. Most of them have been turned into videos at this point now. So yeah, check out my channel. Honestly, I haven't really looked at a ton of other people's stuff. I know Sinclair Lore and Sophie Pilbeam have put out really good content for Bloodborne. So I like their stuff. Unfortunately, I do feel like Sophie takes a little bit of a of a fatalist attitude in like looking at cut content and placing it over what you get in the retail build of the game. But generally, I do think they have some pretty interesting observations. If you can appreciate their style to content creation. You're working with her in the next couple weeks? Nice. Yeah, Saint Trina, how's your stuff coming along? I know you mentioned it briefly. Maybe not in this stream, maybe it's Stromboli's. So, okay. Coming up here, we have a very interesting Black Flame Monk. And one thing that I forgot to mention the other day when we were talking about like the Glowmide Queen and all the issues she brings in the timeline is since the Black Flame Monks were converts from the Fire Monks, that does kind of suggest that the Glowmide Queen was either active during the time that the Fire Monks existed, which would, like, you know, put it in the time of Godfrey and them, or she was defeated before that happened. But it's a little bit hard to reconcile either way. So I was going to go up here and unlock the shortcut so that way we could deal with the magma worm a bit more freely. You're pumped. Thank you for supporting you in the early days. Yeah, that's no problem. I mean, you come up with some interesting things. And like I've said before, you have a very different approach than I do. So I'm curious to, you know, check out those new perspectives. Yeah, Trina, you can go ahead and post links, I think. If it gets got by the Nightbot, I'll fix it. Hopefully. Yo, Teen Sith, losing your screenshots has stressed you out. Yeah, no, I completely understand that. I recommend having an external SSD, or not SSD, an external hard drive of some kind, so you can always like back up your stuff. But I know that's a little bit too late to do that now. So if you need like screenshots or like some footage stuff, just let me know, because I have so much of both that I can just get you something super quick if you ever need like a quick reference to anything. Yeah, so for some reason they thought it was a good idea to submerge this platform. Obviously, I think that's more of like a gameplay thing than an actual lore thing. So coming over here, we do have more of like the Fair Missoula type lion altars that are used in like the Dragon Communion stuff with a different thing on top. We've got more of the snake griffins. Huh. Leaves on top of that. Similar to the Nox design, but not quite the same. The animation was odd. Oh, I wasn't paying too much attention, to be honest. Alright. I know this is like one of the more fun places to invade people, because you can pretend to be objects over here and just like place a bunch of shining stones to make newcomers think that there's an item, and you just like push them off the cliff. Especially by this elevator, because you can just look like a barrel or something and just wait for somebody to come in, and then you just run up behind and knock them down. Like half worked. Hey, it's not me who's done that. I'm just saying, like, I've seen the compilation videos. Yo, okay, Trina, go ahead and just DM me on the Discord, and then I'll be able to set you up. And for anybody who is in the Discord, we do have some linked and pinned descriptions of people's content in our content creation channel. There's also like some of their essays and stuff in their respective lore channels. So Saint Trina and Teen Sith do have write-ups and Miro boards in the Elden Ring lore chat channel. Just mod Trina, mods can post links. Gotta cosplay patches and do that. Alright, so coming down here, we're going to run into, I believe this one is Theodoric's, which is pretty big lore. Or it just doesn't have a boss health bar at all. Okay. Get me out of the lava. Oh god. Dang it, I stepped on the lava. That was my good damage resistant trigger. It's cool it's walking on the 2 feet. Oof. How didn't I avoid that? I just did not expect that. So we get a dragon heart from this one. Didn't it drop its jaw in retail? Because I think the only magma worm we have left is in the consecrated snowfield, and that one, I'm pretty confident it doesn't do that. I may have goofed a little bit. Linktree's really saved your life? You give you that and you suggest that or WordPress like Sith uses for anyone who writes. WordPress is really easy to use. Brian G77, welcome in. Is Egle some type of primordial serpent, kind of like the serpent from Dark Souls 1? That's a good question. I think people could probably come to that reading, but I think it's a little bit too beyond the text for me to feel comfortable making that claim. Alright, so I missed the room with all the pots. Is that, like, we need to, like, what, drop down for that and go somewhere? Or is that through the patches way? I don't remember. I think it's probably behind the worm. I'm just gonna go heal up real quick and then come back down. Level up. If you thought you could securely back your screen caps up, you would have before wiping. But time was of the essence. No, I understand. I just meant, like, in general, like now, that might just be something to consider in the future. Also, like, if you're doing writing stuff, it's a little bit awkward, but I almost recommend using something like Google Docs, since they take, like, time cap screen saves, sort of your work as you go along. And apparently that's going to be a bigger deal now more than ever with all the stuff like with ChatGPT and people being accused of plagiarizing their literal own words. It's a dystopian present that we're living in. I'm doing one extra faith because I think that'll allow me to use distraction. Sweet. Yeah, this is a really good spell. Hey, thanks, Brian. You use the Google Suite, don't worry. Sweet. Go. You baited me. So I believe distraction should work on the humanoid type enemies, but I don't remember if this is actually the same spell that I'm thinking of, because the name's different. I know the Ash of War is extremely good. I don't remember if the incantation is. Yep. Okay. Not that I particularly need it with this build, with the Hoarfrost Stomp. But I do think that kind of technique is a little bit slept on. Actually, I wonder if it works on the Serpent Men. Because that'll be really helpful with the Candle Whip dude right before, like, the teleporter area. More serpent than man, it seems. Okay. You just tweeted the word dystopian 2 seconds before I said it. Synchronicity. Nice. You're looking at the Discord. What tab is the lore videos? So if you look in the Elden Ring lore channel and you go to the pinned sections, you'll see like a bunch of like random posts, and there'll also be other content creators like in their posts. And if you also go into the content creation channel, there should be some in there as well. But there should be like a decent amount of overlap. Wait, I thought I took no flame damage. I was just scooting. Alright. I think we need to go back by the town area. Yeah, no problem. And also, thank you for checking out other people's stuff. And give them, like, feedback if you can, or not. Maybe they don't want it, I don't know. So is it this way that we need to go? Yeah, okay. Man, I have not been over this way in ages. Nothing over here, I think. This would be a cool spot for an invade, though. Like an NPC one. I thought they had corpses with items. Maybe that's more of a retail thing. Oh, I remember. It's like when you jump down off the roof when you first come in. Okay. And we're already here. So down here we do have a graveyard and a bunch of pots with Erdtree sigils on them. These ones with the white pots are super flammable, so they'll explode if you mess with them too much. Don't remember if these ones are aggro, but it's kind of a bad idea to aggro these. Just because the explosions can deal a significant amount of damage. So let's go ahead and aggro them. Okay, we didn't. I wonder if this is more of a Volcano Manor specific sigil. Okay. So that's pretty much that there. Jeez. Oh, I lied. There's an item over there. You know, one thing that I never really thought about is that lava is molten earth, which, you know, sounds super redundant. But what I mean by that is a lot of people think that you'll just kind of like sink into it like water, but apparently it still has the actual like consistency of rock and stuff. So it'd just be like jumping into the floor, except it's like thousands and thousands of degrees. You don't really just like sink into it like a lot of people think. Is that jump doable? Looks like it should be. Let's screw up. Okay. A coffin you can't enter? The one thing every Souls games needs is a rusted iron ring. How can you give us a coffin and not let us enter it? That's unfair. Lava is like super thick mud. Things can sink, but it's easy to float because of the density. Yeah. And that's just something I didn't know until like I saw somebody talk about it. Which it makes total sense. It's just a little bit counterintuitive, I think. Oh, okay. So you could just come here through the dogway. I think I just like looked out here when we first came through the manor and just noped out. Okay. Now to go deal with our Godskin friend. Death by volcano would suck. Best bet falling straight into an open volcano would just be like take a big huff and hope you don't wake up on top. That's not something you learn about until you learn about it. Yeah. It's like one of those things where it's like such useless knowledge that a lot of people just end up knowing for one reason or another, like what to do if you get caught in quicksand. What to do if you get into the Bermuda Triangle. What'll happen if you get thrown into a volcano. You know, these everyday occurrences for most people. You'll probably die from inhaling molten airborne glass before the heat of the lava kills you. Maybe. Well, I mean, the falling speed's really fast. You could probably just literally hold your breath depending on like the depth of the volcano. Oh yeah, so these Black Flame assassins, or not assassins, I'm almost like combining Black Knife assassins and Black Flame monks. They have some really super cool swords in Caelid. Maybe we'll go there next. That you can't even loot from those ones in Caelid. You have to go up to the giant slaying hero's grave or whatever in the mountaintops. Quicksand isn't all that dangerous for the most part, and it's a Hollywood thing. Yeah. It is said, you might even say. It is something they say. People will be leaving their books on the floor or pages. Alright. So we still have a Godskin Noble. He's still an angry boy. Apparently these things are like super vulnerable to sleep, which is true. But these guys are also super weak to frost and bleed. This dude is actually easier to deal with than the Apostle because his hitbox is a lot bigger. The pillar screwed up his trajectory. I should not roll backwards. I should need to roll at an angle. Come on. Although I'd probably be safer just attacking. Oh no, I would have died. Okay. We get the Godskin Stitcher, as well as Noble Presence from this one. Now, remember, we did go through the Divine Tower of Liurnia, and we did not find a Godskin Noble up there, so we will not be able to get it set unless it's someplace else. If your arms are stuck in the quicksand, all you have to do is dunk your head into the muck and pull your arms up with your mouth. What? The Switch needs to charge faster. You just want to continue Tears of the Kingdom. It's amazing that we have anybody to watch these streams of Tears of the Kingdom out. Pale Blood Hunt was your first FromSoft analysis, and it felt like it missed the mark even then. Researching the games is so much fun. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's kind of like a murder mystery with extra murder. Tears of the Kingdom is pretty good. Okay, so coming up here, we have a snake skin shedding. At first I thought it was like supposed to be the real snake, but the more you like look at it, it's the shedding of its skin. I wonder why its like hood is spread out like this. It almost seems like its body was supposed to kind of evoke the image of wings or something like that, but they're not. We get the serpent's amnion, which will be important for Raya's quest. But let us check the Stitcher. Wait. Oh, yeah, it's a spear. Or something? Where did they put it? Did I go past it? Oh, it's above? Oh, yeah, this is the heavy thrusting sword. I was thinking of the... I forgot to go to the Windmill Village for Millicent. Wait, no, I can still do that. Yeah, okay, we'll need to do that. Elegant piercing sword with a celadon-colored blade wielded by Godskin nobles. The nobles possess skill with the sword unmatched by any lowborn. Despite its size, consecutive attacks from this weapon are swifter than the eye can follow. So we looked up the celadon thing like a long time ago on the Discord. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's kind of like an oblique reference to a certain type of pottery making in Chinese history. And so celadon is the correct word here, but I don't remember what was super significant about it. I know they said that they used like dragon forges to create this specific form of celadon in the Chinese like character for celadon, but I don't think that was actually supposed to be like a metaphorical, mythical type reference that the devs knew when they like made that kanji thing. It's nothing like a real dragon. It's just kind of a series of kilns to create like a super hot thing to make celadon or something. Really weird. Anyway, you see the games as like giant logic puzzles almost? Yeah. And the best thing about them is there's never enough links in the chain to complete them. Hey Boris, welcome back to the stream. Yeah, the other noble is in the Caelid... No, he's not in the Caelid Divine Tower. That would be the Apostle. The other Godskin noble appears on top of the Liurnian Tower when we go to see Ranni's corpse. At least in retail. A complex esoteric painting. That's probably a good description for it. David Mitchell says, there was cut content where Rykard had a bird sigil before all the snake stuff, if you remember correctly. So maybe it's supposed to look like wings? Okay, I don't know about that. I'll need to look into it. What is made of celadon in the game? Just like the Godskin stuff. I think just this and or the peeler. Teen Sith said, you think it's the idea of an external glaze or treatment on the metal, like the pottery glaze? A skin, if you will. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That I think you mentioned that when I first looked into it. How do I manage and store all of my game footage? That stuff takes up a lot of space, right? So the answer is yes. I do have some, like a couple of the portable hard drives that I use. It helps having the channel because I've been able to like subsidize the cost of like getting some equipment with the revenue that the YouTube brings in. So that's been nice. But honestly, the footage stuff is a little bit easier to do than you might think if you're able to have multiple save states. That's really like the biggest kicker to everything. Because if you have multiple saves, you can just load up to wherever you need to get the relevant footage that you need. The hardest part about getting footage is the time that it takes to actually do it, which seems a little bit counterintuitive because if you're trying to get like cinematic stuff, it takes even longer to do. If you're just trying to get a quick look at something, it's not that bad, but sometimes it can be bad if you're having to rely on like enemy mechanics. If you're trying to get footage of that, like it took me probably like literally 6 hours. No, maybe not that long. Anyway, it did take like definitely over 1 hour when I was trying to farm the Elden Beast's grabbing crucifix attack because he only does it on its second phase and it has to be pretty low health, and I only saw it like twice, so I had to make the most of what I got out of it because I was so over trying to get like an extra angle to only get like one 4-second shot and a video that's a lot longer than 4 seconds. So anyway, when David said before, they meant like before within the in-game timeline, you should specify like Rykard's house emblem was a bird before he started worshipping the snakes. Oh, it's got content? Okay. It sounds like a pain. It can be. But I mean, a lot of stuff I also just kind of captured on my first and second playthroughs. Like every time I would go to fight a boss, I would, just let the footage roll. So I have a lot of B-roll that I don't really use, but I do have like literally over 350 save states, so I could just go almost anywhere if I need to really get something. And that's the real kicker. I'm just trying to develop a consistent style. But that's also me. I'm a little bit meticulous when it comes to that, and you don't need to be anywhere near on that level to produce content. Like a lot of people will just have like B-roll of like coming through and attacking like enemies or like going through Volcano Manor like on the stream. And then they'll just like splice and cut what they have to just go with their voiced dialogue. Right, so we also picked up Noble Presence. Crate's Rising Force Wave. Yep. This one calls it Noble's Presence. I think it's a little bit different in retail. It's like, no, Wrath of the Gods is the other thing. Wrath of Gold is the Urge one, so maybe it is Wrath of the Gods? I don't remember. Anyway, one thing about this Eagle Eye Church is it almost feels like a carbon copy to me of Sullivan's Cathedral, just with some very minor aesthetic changes. Like just move this elevator to kind of over here. It's almost the same in terms of its feel to me. So yeah, let's go up the elevator and then we'll go down. Like even up here is the same. You'd almost expect like a mimic treasure chest down there. Actually, I don't remember if that cathedral did have a mimic. I'm pretty sure it did. Am I doing the Tanith quest or just going through the manor? I'm not sure yet. I was originally thinking about just doing like the manor, but then once I picked up the serpent amnion, I was like, oh yeah, there is all that. That's a little bit time consuming, but I mean, I may as well show it off. There's quite a few variations for how it can end, to be honest. So there's nothing up here. What you need to do is just like drop down and continue to where you were. No Irithyll in the background or Anne Orlando. No, I was right. You do need to go up and drop down up there. Okay. Where's our lever? It did, and you do think it's reused assets? Wait, it did what? The ending of this quest felt weird, kinda open-ended if we don't attack Tanith. Yeah, for sure. You're excited to watch me Hoarfrost stomp all the endgame bosses, giving them a taste of their own medicine? Yeah, it is effective against Millennia, and that's quite nice. Alright, so let's check out our Amnion. Placenta that held Mansnake roe in mother's womb. Isn't roe specifically like for fish? I don't really know. I'm just... Amniotic sac that held man-serpent roe in its mother's womb. Among the man-serpents, there's... I was trying to Hoarfrost stomp. Among the man-serpents, there are some with particularly intelligent roe. The amnion is known to never dry out, retaining moisture indefinitely. It is revered among man-serpents as a holy object of worship. Is that different? I don't remember the thing about it never drying out. Ro is fish eggs? Okay. Raya is the first FromSoft NPC to have more than one good ending? What about patches? If you mean more than one good ending in a game, you might be right. I'm trying to think of another one that you can make that argument for. Maybe they're actually eels. Oh, retail says it never dries out as well? Okay. Yeah, there's like a lot of stuff that I've pretty much only taken a cursory look at on a couple of playthroughs. But I mean, there's just so much things, or like so much stuff to go through. It's kind of hard. Difficult to stay on top of everything. So even though this is kind of out of the way and annoying to climb up, I do kind of like this path coming up the volcano. It's a little bit of a shame that it really like makes no sense in terms of like architecture and design, but FromSoft game, what you gonna do? I don't like this spot though. So you can just ignore that. I'm going to get the next shortcut unlocked and then come back through here. Certainly a lot easier to deal with things this way. Oh, I should have leveled up. Okay. Hey, Capenda, welcome back. He has one good ending that lasts multiple franchises. Maybe Ro is a mistranslation. A cursory Google search for Snake Row doesn't bring anything up. I just figured that they probably took the Japanese equivalent for the word and just tried to like find the English equivalent. So yeah, I assume it's a mistranslation. Probably just like a placeholder till they could get to something a bit more official. Looking it up, they call invertebrate eggs roe as well, like lobster roe. Okay, so maybe snake men are like from sea serpents? No, snakes definitely have vertebra. That's pretty much all they have. Alright, level up. So we're going into Rykard territory, just keep pumping up the vigor. Oh. Actually, let's go talk to Raya now that we have the Amnion. Maybe Tanith first?
If you follow this, it can...
Okay. Didn't think she had anything to say, but just wanted to be sure. Wait. Is she in the other room then? Did I look in the wrong room? Yes, I did. Oh, she kind of skipped a step. Maybe? No, she didn't. I don't remember. Holy crap.
Brave Tarnished, what is your business here? I'm afraid this is not a guest room. What's that peculiar look upon your face? Goodness, am I still a serpent? Oh, how dreadful. How dreadful indeed. Oh, forgive my distress. I ought to be thanking you for treating me as usual. Despite this appearance, Brave Tarnished, this is my true form. My real name is Zarias. Please forgive the deception. Do understand. This duplicity is my own doing. Lady Tanith speaks no falsehoods. and the Volcano Manor is just as it seems.
Alright, yeah, so I definitely didn't remember her order. It was a real pain in the butt getting like a lot of the footage for Raya just because there's so many different states. And the funny part is I went through all that trouble and I haven't used it yet. But anyway, Pony brought up a really interesting point that it's possibly an indication of the state of the egg because Ro is typically squishy, wet, yet they have some consistency, whereas eggs have a hard shell. Ro would be the most similar thing to a never dry egg. So that's a very interesting point. Maybe you're onto something there. So yeah, Raya is a serpent. It's kind of funny that despite like how kind of grotesque she is, that she's so endeared by the community despite everything. She has no idea what her mother's really like. Yeah.
Lady Tanith is my mother. I am told I was born by the grace of a glorious king, that my mother cherishes this form I inhabit. I am proud of what I am, but people are cruel. If they saw my true form, they wouldn't speak to me, and so I assume a guise when seeking new recruits. But you are not like the rest.
Yeah, Goddess Begat also brings up a good point that not all eggs have a hard external shell. Humans are a good example of that. Ro refers to marine clutches of eggs. Okay.
My serpentine form and the name Zarias were secrets, known only to Lady Tanith and I. Now I share the secrets with you as well. Please keep them safe from anyone else. My serpentine form. Now I please.
Little bit of a random question for chat. Did anybody ever play Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past? Isn't Zarias the name of like one of the medallion things? I might be misremembering, but it just whenever she says Zarias, I think of it. So maybe they're similar. Is Dialos a simp? I don't really think so because he's not. Maybe for his brother, but not exactly. Because he's not like attached to one person specifically. He just wants to be a strong boy, but he's a little brother syndrome haver. And also welcome back to the stream, Spoonbender. You've never played it, so you're just gonna say yes? Thanks, Rat. The letter Z didn't exist in the Legend of Zelda series. Is this a troll? Zelda. Zelda. King Zora. Okay, that might be it. Oh wait, we need to talk to Tanith.
If you follow this heroic path, one day the Lord will see you. It cannot come a day too soon.
Zarias' form.
Did you see her? The girl, Raya, with her true face. Well, if she confided in you the name Zarias, then perhaps it is not my place to speak. But as her adoptive mother, I ask of you, please be kind to her. Look after young Zarias. Her true visage belies the purity of her heart. Honestly, I hardly deserve the sweet child. Please be kind to her. Look after young Zarias. Her true visage belies the purity of her heart.
My serpentine was now. Please keep them safe.
Alright, that's what I thought. So now we can continue on. You've immortalized a certain part of the stream in the general chat? Oh no. The leaks were all true. Right, I'm gonna ban you. We don't need to go up there. We can go up the other elevator. At least she's self-aware enough. Okay, so I think... Is it this spot? No, it's further up. I can't even see if it's there. Holy crap. She shouldn't be down there yet, so I shouldn't worry about that. Okay. Still surprised we got the dumpling on like our second kill of those things. The streamer luck is real sometimes. Maybe that's to like balance out the curse of the streamer, like where that was fortuitous too. Where you just say something's easy and then just absolutely crash on it, so they just kind of like take pity on you so you don't have to RNG farm. So that corpse didn't have an item. That was supposed to have a medallion, and there should be the yellow scarab over here. I mean, no, maybe that was just on that corpse. Okay. Let's check out our cool magma dagger. Magma blade. Curved sword with the blade fashioned from the lava of Mount Gelmir. An armament of the serpent people, impossible for a human to have made. Deals fire damage. Lava slash. Okay. Luck you'll never get in retail. Hey, Colo RPG, welcome back. No, I mean, I had pretty decent luck in retail, although I will say farming for 2 of the great Envoy Oracle horns was god-awful. The Erdtree Burial Watchdog sword, super bad. Because just, doing it once wasn't enough for me, apparently. Actually, I did have somebody help me out with cloning some of my own items because I was like, I'm not farming these again. So maybe I didn't farm that one twice, but just farming it once was more than enough punishment. What are we, an old Yarnum over here? Alright. The old strat of lining up. Oh, there's a ladder right there. I was going to say the old strat of lining up the heads of the beam you need to go to works. Oh yeah, this seems kind of annoying with all the sorcerers. Sweet. What's the deal with the giant snake that's Rykard? Farming for Banished Knight armor was terrible. Yeah, that was also really bad. Deserter's cookbook. Sad thing is that I don't even know what's in these cookbooks. Right. So it's Blood Drunk Tarnished. The weird stony albinorks. What's going on with them? Wait, which ones are stony? And what's the deal with the giant snakes? That is Rykard. It's kind of left vague, but my interpretation of it is that because snakes devour their prey whole, it never allows the chance for the soul of the prey to return to the Erdtree, so it kind of absorbs everything within them. And if we take like the soap stuff to its logical extreme, maybe Rykard realized that the same way that like slugs and Miranda flowers and whatnot take on the properties of their environments, that his will would be strong enough to conquer the snake from the inside. But I don't know. Yeah, so these dudes are also filled with poison. I don't really know why poison specifically. Well, I mean, I guess Serpent Blade, but I don't think the Serpent Blade did it, that is. I just mean, like, it's thematic for the serpent, perhaps? The crawling thing I just killed with the big rock head. Oh no, that's not a rock head. That's a cloth covering for its head. So they're just normal Albinorics. Well, they're just Albinorics that have been tortured. They're not made out of stone. Yeah, they swallow them whole, but they often don't swallow them live. Okay, that's an interesting point. But I feel like the Great Serpent probably didn't care if something was alive when it ate it. Oh, ran out of juice. And of course, like me saying, like, the snakes devour their prey whole so their souls don't go back to the Earth Tree doesn't really mesh too well with how, like, Rykard can eat us to death and then we come back. But, you know, lore concessions to gameplay mechanics. Alright, yeah, so we still have, like, a bunch of corpses, which just kind of matches Rykard's research. And as we come over into here, we do have, like, more of the depictions of the Earth Trees burning. Hey, is that part of the Cathedral of the Deep things again? No, that's different. Although, I've definitely seen this in Dark Souls 3. It wasn't rectangular, though. It was just square. Okay. Brian, just thought of this right now. How would Rykard be able to devour the formless mother if she's formless? I don't think Rykard would need to devour the formless mother. It would just probably be, like, consuming enough blood, but I don't really think he's against the Outer God that way. It'd just be like an incidental, like, proxy war, a war of attrition, perhaps. But that being said, I think when people hear the word formless, they get caught up into thinking that it means something that's, like, non-existent or non-physical. But technically, you could make the argument that something like water is formless because it can fill any container that it's placed in. It doesn't have a fixed form, which is a kind of a common form of thinking about water in the East, and just about form in general, I think. Kolo says, the serpent only seems to have gained the ability to birth serpent folk after it ate Rykard, and also seems to have mothered all the serpent folk. We don't know if they came from the Great Serpent specifically, or if Rykard was just doing some other stuff. If FromSoft would let a lore tour be in control of a game. Do you think the rune enables rebirth, the demigod blood, both, or simply the amount of runes? I don't necessarily think that birth is completely broken, because Raya and the Snake Men should have been born after the shattering. This snake mage cracks me up because its head is, like, stuck in an egg. But yeah, I don't exactly know what the deal is with the creation of the man serpents. It's for the best that no lore tubers are allowed in the writer's room. The Dragon Communion Seal is formless, so it's more of a non-solid thing. Too much knowledge does induce badness. You don't remember the Snake Mage from retail? Oh no, it's definitely there. So let's look at the throne and stuff, and then our ashes. Or the ashes and then the throne. Either way. It's not going to say much. Monstrosity scale? Scaled aberration. So that's kind of funny because they do call the misbegotten aberrations in this version of the game. I obviously don't think that the misbegotten are related to the man serpents, serpent men, whatever, but just kind of funny. All right. So coming up to this throne here, I don't think this type of throne appears anywhere else, which isn't that big of a deal. However, like the tapestry behind it is a little bit hard to make out. If we had the depraved perfumer set, I could show it off a little bit more. But you do have the two coiled serpents around like the thing in the middle, so that's essentially what is on this throne. So the depraved serpent or depraved perfumers were affiliated with Rykard, it seems. And why one would have been in the Elbenorg village, maybe it was that perfumer who was conducting kidnappings for Rykard's research, but who knows? Snake Mage is the only place to farm the magma staff, if you remember correctly. Yeah, I do think I had to farm him a few times, so that makes sense. That's why he stands out to me as definitely being in retail. You meant whether the serpent gained the ability to birth the serpent folk because of the rune, the demigod, or the amount of the runes, or all of them. I don't know if that's exactly what happened. I think Rykard could have also just modified eggs directly, and it might not have come from the Great Serpent. Like, he might have made the Snake Men before he became part of the Great Serpent, for all we know. It's ambiguous. So, what is the deal? I remember there's like a trick for this area. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, though. I know there was one time I totally like jumped along the walls to get across, but I didn't stay up on the top level. I think it was something like really simple. Oh yeah, I think we just need to like drop down there. Yeah. Yeah, I totally didn't see this damn doorway, and I spent so long trying to figure out how to get through here, and I eventually gave up and actually looked it up. One of like the one or two things in the entire game that I like looked up until I actually beat it. It was this and how to open the locked door in Raya Lucaria. You know, that was after clearing out the manor and just thinking that there's another doorway over here. But nope, I was just blind. Feels bad, man. Wait, oh no, okay, yeah, that one's always closed off, right? Yep, all of that for just a rune arc. You don't think Rykard's gonna sit on his own throne anymore? The Lord granted them an audience whereupon they were welcomed by the maw of the great serpent, and within the serpent's bowels they became the Lord's kin. You assume the Lord's kin meant they were being reborn as serpent men? No, so when he says, like, become family together, he's talking about, you know, eating people, and by eating them, he's absorbing them into himself. So that's kind of like a different form of kinship for him, at least. So you think I need to land on that? Over there? Yeah, this room is annoying if you don't have a lot to deal with the dumplings. Boris says, both Albinorks and serpent men are born by some kind of egg. Is every birth in the lands between including an egg of some kind? Albinorks aren't necessarily born by an egg, but maybe there's not much of a difference between a silver tear and an egg. If they are born from silver tears, which I think is extremely likely. Yeah, and as Teen Sith says, you can see the writhing little hands and the blasphemous blade, so I think it's being literally incorporated into his flesh or his being. Even after, like, he's dead and Tanith is eating him, you can see a bunch of his little hands coming out of his body. So... Hey, do you guys remember Brooks? Well, Dung Eater was here. Sorry, that was a terrible joke. Right impression was impeccable. Oh, I thought it was just like a little bit rough. I don't think my right guard impression is super good. But to be fair, I also don't like go out of my way to try and practice it. So yeah, jumping off that little edge right there will just bring us right next to the first prison town side of Grace. Yeah, and Teen Sis said those little hand things are on the portrait behind Tanith. Yeah, I actually noticed those for the first time when we first came into Volcano Manor on this playthrough. Never occurred to me. So this is the kind of mask face portrait of Rykard that we showed off at the top floor of Volcano Manor. Royal Knight's Resolve. Oh yeah, that one's actually a really ridiculously strong Ash of War. They had to nerf it. Let's talk to Patches. It's been a minute. He shouldn't say anything. But we can buy a ton of stuff if we want. Never bought this. Did I ever read this? I think I would have when we first met him. But a fetish bathed in golden magic. Shackles were used to bind the accursed people called the Omen, and these ones were made to keep a particular Omen child under strictest confinement. Though faint, the shackles still remain vestiges of power, enough to trap the once-bound Margit on Earth, if only for a short time. It is kind of weird that he has two names. I don't really need to buy this, so I'm going to leave it. Maybe eventually I'll go through the Lanedell catacombs just to get the Moog shackle to show that off.
Cheers for that.
We're no longer a stingy little beggar. And yeah, so as Teen Seth had just pointed out, we do have the hands coming up here, but with him being in a humanoid form, they're not integrated into him or his blade quite yet. I can use it to destroy any illusory wall. I don't even think there's any other ones in the game that are really worth knowing about. Well, I guess there's definitely a bunch in like the catacombs and stuff, or the graves, but I'm not gonna worry about it too much. Because like after a while you get kind of used to the design of places to the point that you know what should be where. Oh, I can bypass the Ariza Hero Grave chariot puzzle. It's all good. We should be fine. Alright. So we did that. Should we talk to Tanith? Did I talk to her? I don't remember.
If you follow this heroic, it can...
Okay, that's what I thought. Zarias should be the same. Actually, she might progress. Yeah, okay.
Oh, it's you. Forgive me. My mind never ceases to churn of late. Well, I know I can trust you. I saw something slithering in the pitch black of night. It entered the room next to this one and never came out. If I'm not mistaken, it took the form of a serpent, just like me. Does the Volcano Manor hide some secret that Lady Tanith has kept from me? I realize that I shouldn't impose, but if you discover anything, Would you please share?
Tell her the dark side of Volcano Manor.
Really? Oh, so there was a secret after all. Oh my. Lady Tanith, my own mother, has deceived me. Was I not born by the grace of a king?
So we can give her the serpent's amnion, and then she'll realize that's where she came from.
What is this? I remember this scent distinctly. Funny, isn't it? I am certain of it. I was born inside this. It's a part of my birth, Mother. You have my gratitude. Thanks to you, I am no longer afraid. I want to know how I was born and met Lady Tanith. One day, I hope to call her mother once again. This time from the bottom of my heart.
Alright, so if we didn't begin traveling through Volcano Manor now, this was like the biggest clue that there's the illusory wall to go through in the other room. And also this room, technically. We showed that off last stream, that this door right here is also an illusory wall. I don't remember if they patched this one out in retail, but they definitely did the one in the room with Bernal and everything. So, now that she's kind of understood her history, we could talk to Tanith, and then we'll get like the tonic of forgetfulness. And so there's like 3 or 4 options to do. I won't spoil everything just yet, but yeah. As Tinsa says, her voice acting is really good.
I want to know how I was born and met Lady Tanith. One day, I hope to call her mother once again. This time from the bottom of my heart.
So it is kind of nice that Lady Tanith has a soft side, especially because of how grotesque her quest ends up being, and just how much of everything else she abandons in her pursuit of it.
If you follow this heroic path, one day the Lord will see you. It cannot come a day too soon.
Zarias' troubles.
She said that to you. I should have known something was wrong. The signs were clear enough. Well, Zarias has placed her trust in you. All the more reason I must tell you that some things are better left unknown. Besides, no one should be blamed for their heritage. Think about it. We are resisting the ways of the Erd Tree itself. What matters one's lineage in such a crisis? Zarias has placed her trust in you. All the more reason I must tell you that some things are better left unknown. Besides, no one should be blamed for their heritage. Zarias has pledged...
Right. I think we might need to either reset and talk to them again or something along those lines. Kolo said in some cut content there was the possibility for Tanith to remove the red eyes that we would gain from Vare. I do remember seeing that.
If you follow this...
Okay. Wait.
If you follow this heroic path, one day the Lord will see you. It cannot come a day too soon.
Oh, it's Selin. Okay, yeah, that's right. Thank you. Sorry about that. Hey, Timmy Johnston, welcome back to the stream. Thank you. It's going pretty well. How about yourself?
I haven't seen Zarias anywhere, and she has no scouting duties now. Has she gone off in search of answers? Why won't she just listen? May I ask your aid? Not as the manor's proprietress, but as Zarias' mother. If she discovers the answer to her question, and it causes distress, have her drink this potion, to purge that which would cause her pain.
Tonic of forgetfulness.
Yes, I know. My wish is a grave disrespect to her. No different than the Erd Tree's imposition. But I've no choice. It must be done.
So it's really odd that she says that this action is no different than the Erd Tree's imposition. I don't know exactly what she means by that, but I do have some thoughts on it. So, ooh, interesting. Oh, this is different. Okay. A silver-colored elixir sealed in a small vial allows the user to wipe memory from recent years. Okay, that makes more sense, because I'm pretty sure this isn't called silver in retail. I'm actually going to look this one up, because that's a little bit bothersome. Okay, yeah. In retail, this just says banishes distress and bitter memories. A gift bestowed by Rykard sworn to blasphemy to Lady Tanith, who unfortunately had no use for it. Quote, "My lord, there could be no greater distress than to forget you." End quote. Okay, so with this being colored silver, that's really, I think, insightful with some of the other things that I thought about silver's ability to cleanse one's mind and turn them into puppets, potentially. Or just like its links to that. So that kind of checks out, to be honest. But because the icon of this is a more amber color, I originally wondered if it had something to do with gold or amber. But yeah, with it being silver here, that makes more sense. So I do think that's a little bit unfortunate that that isn't kept in retail. And like I said the other stream, like there's definitely some things which are cut for a reason and don't make sense, like how Morgoth's robe said that he's an Elden Lord. So it's a little bit of a game of I'm just distracted by the dog. Okay. It's a little bit difficult to know what you should take as being canon versus what should no longer be considered canon. But I think this is good enough that it can still help us explain some things in retail that I'm more inclined to accept this kind of description than the Morgoth stuff, which is, you know, very contradicted by all the other text in both versions of the game. All right, so going back to you guys with the chat. Silvers and starlight shards, maybe. You wonder what Raya discovered before? Seems like she's already done this before. You don't remember that tonic at all in the quest? You might not have exhausted Tanith's dialogue by going to the side of grace and all that. It's really easy to kind of mess this stuff up. So, yeah, there's a lot of ways you can end this quest with Raya, because you could give her the tonic. You could have just had her disappear and then go find her. I just tried to warp through that again. So you could avoid getting the tonic entirely and go talk to Raya directly. So her dialogue will be a little bit different there. Maybe. If not, it's not that big a deal. And you'll have like 2 or 3 different ways to fulfill her requests over here. Yeah, and I was thinking about giving this potion to Corin, Boris. Thanks for bringing that up. Interesting how it was originally meant for Tanith. So I think Rykard wanted to give it to her before he became a serpent, so she could forget about him. Silver also fades, as in the Albinorc's legs and their lifespan in general. Yeah, he does have like some genuine feelings for her, I think. What weapon is that? Oh, that's just the dagger. Looked really red for a second, and I was confused. Stone sword key. So we got the best girl over here. Just chilling by a bunch of piles of skulls and cages. But you know, she truly believes Tanith is part of the good guys.
Oh, it's you. I'm afraid there is something I must tell you. I was an unwanted child, born not of grace, but of a hideous ritual, something that can never be accepted. Not by men, nor serpents. Even Lady Tanith shouldn't accept me. I know that you have done so much for me, but I wish to ask one last kindness. Kill me, please. I thought that I feared nothing. But this, free me from this accursed frame.
So we can give her the tonic of forgetfulness or not.
I know that you have done so much for me, but I wish to ask one last kindness. Kill me, please. I thought that I feared nothing. But this, free me from this accursed frame.
Understandable, Pony Boy. It's all good. Alright, so I want to give the flask to Corin when he goes up to the mountaintops. And I also do want to finish off Juno's quest there, so I'll wait until we give it to Corin before... Psych!
Thank you, my champion, Mother.
Dadekar's woe. Alright, Saint Trina, are you still around? If not, totally understandable. Especially after that atrocity that I did for the lore. And also the shock chat. Long-time viewers should have known it was coming. Alright, so Dadekar's woe. Disturbing likeness of an old noble whose skin was flayed. He smiles with serene tenderness. Oh no, I was supposed to get the other one from her. I screwed up. Oh, no. Either way. Increases damage taken. This soft-featured man's name was Dadekar, and he was one of the captain... Oh no, I was right. This soft-featured man's name was Dadekar, and he was one of Captain Rykard's paramours, as well as an attendant in his Inquisition. He would test new methods of torture first upon himself, making a gift of his pain and first-hand knowledge to the one he loved. For no reason. No. This is exactly what we needed. Every ending gives that? Yeah, but this ending also gives the chat super psychic damage. And it makes it more memorable. As Patches would say, you should be thanking me for that. You wanted to ask my opinion on Radon? Do you think he hit actual stars, tiny stars, or aliens, or creatures like Estelle and the Elden Beast? You're certainly damaged. Yeah, with Radon, I don't really know. The stars are kind of ambiguous in this game to begin with. So that's just something that I just don't wonder about too much, because I don't think I'm going to come to a proper answer no matter the case, unfortunately. So I think there's like, what, a bunch of basilisks in here? It's kind of weird now that I think about it. And it takes 2 stomps to kill them? They're the worst. I do miss being able to Sekiro jump and like assassinate the lizards. Just do that to the basilisks. Large somber golden smithing stone. Okay. Wait, they don't call them somber golden smithing stones in retail, do they? They just say somber stone tier whatever, don't they? I don't think there's anything on that corpse. So anyway, it does confirm that you can have somber golden smithing stones, or that they're still gold despite being like drained of gold. Hey Earthmind, welcome in. Guess you'll catch up on the replay. Sorry for the sudden psychic damage if you saw that. Basilisks being in this game is incredibly strange. They must have wanted the enemy back. Hey, I mean, it's a perfectly good asset to reuse, right? Capenda has a quick random question. Which demigod do I think had the best chance to bring peace to the lands between? I don't think anyone would have really brought true peace. It's maybe, like, people could say Mikola, but Millennia says he's the most fearsome Empyrean of them all. So I would have to guess either Morga or Millennia. Because at least with the Millennia, she doesn't go that extra step to actually kill Godric. But I guess Radahn doesn't either. Either way. You think that star is just a word for aliens? I don't think that it's just a word for aliens, because I do think there's a strong possibility that souls can become stars based on, like, Sellen's research with the Graven School masses. Alright, so I'm going to leave the Rykard boss fight until we go through the Forbidden Lands and see Juno. But before doing that, I did want to go see our girl Millicent. Oh cool, we're at night. It's unfortunate there's no Celebrant School in this version. You think Mikola is being characterized as a benevolent person, but is going to be revealed to be corrupt in some way, but that's just a theory? A game theory. Right, so we did just fight the Godskin noble over in Volcano Manor. Now, oops. Walking around the corner, all nonchalant, we have an apostle who's already got us in his sights. Dang, he's really angry. It would be cool to summon Millicent for this, I think, but you can't, so it's kind of a letdown. But we did summon her for the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Hey, I finally remembered its name. So despite me saying that the Apostle is harder than the Noble with Hoarfrost Stomp, obviously we're just like way over leveled for this one specifically. Oh yeah, I should probably actually talk about its features. So there's a good chance that the Godskins could be almost related to snakes with the way that they're able to elongate their bodies like that. The Godskin nobles are said to be closer in nature to the Crucible as the oldest children of the Glowmide Queen, which is kind of crazy stuff. What is with the flames around his body? They're like more reddish than just black. I wonder if they changed that. So yeah, it hits us with Black Flame. It just continues to deal tick damage. Big surprise. Yeah, I just really like the idea of the Godskins and the Black Flame stuff. Just super cool, super creepy, and very different from like a lot of their enemies throughout the games that they've created. Also wonderfully grotesque. Enemy felled. Godskin Peeler and Scouring Black Flame. So once we rest, Millicent will pop on over there. We're going to change the time of day to like midday, so that way we can actually see a bit more. It's a good assumption the game alludes to Mikola being more than an eternal child. He's already corrupt. Look at his body. That's a little rude. If Estelle are malformed stars, and we work with the idea that stars can be masses of souls, maybe that's why malformed stars have that weirdly humanoid face. Yeah, that's what I said the other night when we went to Estelle. You might not have been in the chat at that point, but I think that's a possibility. Either way, I think it's still kind of difficult to reconcile why Estelle has the skeleton type face. I might need to fast travel. Dang it, we're stuck in the cloudy time of day. Okay. It's almost as if divine power means turning into a dragon. Yeah, I think that's a strong possibility, especially if like divine power just means gold. So now we have the peeler. Unique twin blade wielded by Godskin apostles characterized by its disturbing design. One end features a sickle for slicing attacks while the other boasts a winding spike for boring into flesh. Much skill is required to wield this weapon due to its asymmetric nature. Flame Tornado. Oh, I'm surprised it doesn't say Black Flame Tornado. Now we get Millicent.
Ah, we meet yet again. The arm you gave me truly is a thing of wonder. It feels just like my own. Even handling a sword. Perhaps it is foolish to say this to you of all people, but I am sure of my skill with the sword. Thus, I would have you call upon me in battle, should you ever have the need. I would have you call upon me in battle, should you ever have the need. It is the only way that I can express my thanks.
It's all good, Ponyboy. Yeah, so for whatever reason, Millicent here doesn't mention like following the path of millennia. So some people have wondered whether like millennia literally came through this village. I don't necessarily think she had to have. I think maybe the reason Millicent came up this way specifically is because it's kind of the closest place she can get to like her inner compass's true north, in that across this chasm you should see the consecrated snowfield and a little bit of the Halig tree. So once she gets to this point, she realizes, oh, I probably can't, just hop, skip, and throw myself across the ravine. So she'll need to go through like Lanedale and the Forbidden Lands. But at least that's just kind of my headcanon to reconcile why she shows up here of all places. Could be a coincidence, but is there any chance that Placidusax may not have been originally a dragon? I don't know. But that's a very interesting question. Sometimes you worry that an aesthetic decision like Estelle's head is just that, and the dev or devs who worked on it didn't know how it contributed to the lore. You should keep those questions under wraps, so that way they'll bother you less. But yeah, there's really nothing you can do about that. I think for the most part they just come up with like the coolest designs that they can think of, or like thematically relevant designs for certain things, and then they just leave it there, and they're just filling the gaps afterward. Right, so that's that with Millicent. Oh, we got the painting over here. I totally forgot about this dude. So that was one of the paintings, souls. We got Fire's Deadly Sin. Wait, what the heck? There's an Erd tree behind it on this version. Engulf caster in flames, spreading fire in the vicinity. 19 faith. I don't think I can get that quite yet. Now I actually want to test it out and like use it to see if that's the case. Alright, so now that we did Millicent's thing, let's go to the Divine Tower of Caelid and then the Forbidden Lands. Placidusax is also red goldish in his wounded parts. Shame we never get hers in Ash. And you called me a monster for what I did to Zarias. Right, so this Divine Tower is defended by Redmane soldiers. Plural. Ouch. Oh, he actually does a lot of damage. Oh yeah, I'm in northern Caelid. I should remember. Like the Dragon Barrow area actually has strong enemies. Radon Soldier Greaves. I don't think I've gotten any of the Radon Soldier items yet. Greaves used by Caelid Wilds Knights. Oh yeah, that's... We did get something like that before. Ah. That should have worked. In the retail version, the background's blank. Thank you for Fire Deadly Sin. Raya doesn't deserve death. She was literally the most innocent person in Elden Ring. Hey, she's just returned to the Erd Tree. And yes, I am a Sephiroth main in Smash. One thing about Dragon Communion, supposedly you turn into a magma worm if you eat too many hearts. Do worms become completely mindless, or do they retain some of their intelligence? We don't really know. Oh yeah, and you asked earlier whether like sharing blood was important or a thing. And potentially yes, because you do need to use the blood within... What's it called? The Bloody Finger? To become a true vassal of Moog. Time to do it the safe way. Just didn't break my fall enough, I guess. I had something similar like that happen to me when I went through Stormvale to go towards the Crucible Knights, but I just thought you couldn't drop down that way. My first time playing, I think this is just a normal jump. Ooh, I screwed up. Too much of a normal jump. I thought I landed it. Hey guys, remember how I said I was pretty good at parkour in Elden Ring? Really highlighting those skills, aren't I? Should have put some points in acrobatics. Yeah, I really missed that from Oblivion. Not in Elden Ring specifically. Although it would... Oh man, it'd be so good in Elden Ring. Imagine a dude with like 2 gigantic super heavy weapons just flying to the sky to do like a flip land without an Ash of War. Who's giving her the Erd Tree burial? Nailed it. I thought I didn't walk far enough. Okay. This one we should be fine, right? It's so deceptive, like... Oh god. How far you can land before you take damage or die sometimes in this game. Hardcore parkour. Yeah, if the jumping mechanic was tightened up a bit more, this game would be even better. Yeah, so these dudes, I farmed so much when I first came here at like level 42. So I was getting my ass kicked quite a bit. Because I really wanted their swords because they just looked super cool. And I found out later that they can't even drop them. For a second, I thought he was going to drop it just to like spite me. That it would be like a 1.0 only thing. So that's it there. Wait, don't we go this way? Yeah, ladder. Acrobatics would just be ADP. Please no. It depends on the mood of the game. Apparently, it's actually really consistent, but it just doesn't seem that way for whatever reason. I think Garden of Eyes had the video about that. My favorite was like on either patch 1.05 or 1.06. They'd messed up the kill floor by the Bestial Sanctums thing. So if you just like stepped on like a certain part of a branch rather than like falling, you just immediately die. So I made a video that said like the cattail ring sucks, and then I just used that as my example to just show how worthless it was. Because it was a kill floor more than anything, so like the game was bugged. This jump I absolutely hate. Like, I don't know what you're really supposed to do, but the thing I've always done is just like walked onto the beam and then slid off. But I went to the wrong side. I was trying to aim to the left side. Yeah, the cat ring not buffing Torrent's Fall. Do they use black and red flame? Yeah, okay, I'll look at that guy again. Well, there'll be another one like right before the boss. I don't think so. But there was a little bit of red tinge on the Godskin Apostle, so maybe. Oh god. That's funny. Yeah, that's definitely a lot more red. Yeah, the design for the Destined Death Flames, or Black Flames, was not super finalized in this version of the game. Why am I going back this way? The path forward is actually past that guy? The safe path? Oh, you just fall down that way. Wait, no. Should be the same, I think. Oh, I guess there's probably that one brick lower. So I should walk out on that path? Okay. Why did I jump out so early? Run away! Run away! Now let's have my body a little bit more on the left. Nailed it. So you just like jump down that way and across? Okay. We did it. Yeah, so this one was a dude that I farmed quite a lot. I didn't read the hood. I was just bluffing and he walked into it. Okay. Mail helm of white iron links covering a headband engraved with flames. Attire of the Godskin monks. Cool. So yeah, when I first came in here, this dude destroyed me. Oh my god. I was only level 42, so that did not help. And I think I was still using like the Lord Sword's Greatsword at that time. Lord Sworn's Greatsword. And I would use the little skeleton bandits. And I actually gave in and finally leveled them up. Because I just couldn't kill this guy when he like came into phase 2. Which is kind of funny because like now, since I got my ass kicked by him so much, I'm like super familiar with their moveset. To the point that I'd probably be fine without the summons and killing him at level 42 again. I thought it'd be out of range for that. Oh, I tried to... I was, definitely animation locked. That's what I get for talking so much crap. So yeah, his flames are way more black than the other dudes, but his aura is definitely red. If it wasn't for that weird chest piece, you'd love that set. I like this set because of the weird chest piece. It's a shame so many sets are weird, ugly, or so lord type that you just don't feel comfortable using them. Wait. That's a giant sigil. Oh, that's Godskin. So the Flame of Ruin is black. That makes so much more sense. Okay, because there was the cut in Nia dialogue. Well, I guess it's not really Nia. Maybe it is. Where she talks about how the flames of... the black flames devour the Erd Tree. That makes so much more sense. I'll definitely want footage of this, probably. I should get V-Limit on the line. I'll need to pay more attention in the mountaintops when we do like the flame garrison stuff. What is supposed to be the creed of a black flame monk or a Godskin apostle? What does that faith entail exactly? You want to cast a roleplay? We have this fear that you'll find out they're evil. Everybody's evil, Kolo. Even Raya. She's evil for making the players be respectful. And kind. It's against the rules in a FromSoft game. I should have known better to heal. Oh no, I'm stuck. I thought I mistimed that, no lie. Should have just used my R1 ability. That might have helped right then. Godskin Apostle hood, robe, bracers, and trousers. Hood made from tanned demigod skin. Hey yo, 1.0 lore. Demigod skin. So if Godwin was the first demigod, boy does that make things difficult. But again, 1.0 stuff like Morgoth as Elden Lord, doubtful, so take this with a heavy grain of salt. Turtle Pope's not evil. Evil is but a contrivance. Robe made from tan demigod skin. People of rotted abundance. Okay. Tan demigod skin and same. Nothing morally gray about skinning people. That's about as dark as it gets. Are they from before the Golden Order or after Godwin's half-death? It would almost sound like they should have come after Godwin's half-death, because aside from like the whole tan demigod skin stuff, if you put that aside, the fire monks should have already been in existence if they're able to convert them into becoming like black flame monks. But maybe the reason they became black flame monks is because the Glowmide Queen was already sealed and the power of her true flame is already lost. It's a little bit up to interpretation. Doesn't Japanese also call Godskins demigodskins? No. So yeah, as Kolo just put in Kamihara no Hito, which is Godskin. Godslayer's Greatsword. Sacred sword of the Queen in Black, who controlled the Godskin apostles before her defeat at the hands of Malekith. The black flames wielded by the apostles are channeled from this sword. So skills Godhunt Flame, coats blade in swirling flames and unleashes a wide sweeping attack. And Black Flame is what it's called here. So Queen in Black, Glowmide Queen, Dusk-Eyed Queen in other parts of the lore, was defeated by Malekith, but defeat doesn't necessarily mean killed. It is a little bit vague, because you can defeat somebody in a boxing match, just to throw that out there. And as I've mentioned before in like some of my videos, I do think it's possible that the blade could be kind of analogous to the Sacred Relic Sword. Man, I'm moving slow. I think it looks super cool though. And there's kind of like an obsidian gem in the hilt. I don't think it's like that important. I wondered if this is supposed to be like kind of like what you'd see in the Crucible Knight armor set. I don't really fully believe that. Just a random observation. It does kind of spiral like a double helix kind of strand of DNA. So it might be meant to symbolize life. And I don't have the stats to be able to use it because it requires a decent amount of faith, strength, and dexterity. Alright, so that's that for here. Oh, I guess we could go to the top of the tower and get Radahn's Great Rune. Maybe I already did that to enter Lane-Del. Yeah, I probably did to enter Lane-Del. I just bring this all the way back out here. I forgot. Let's go up, just to be safe. Does Kami typically have guardianship connotation, or does it work as a generalized term for God? You know it's not exactly one-to-one Japanese to English term, right? So I don't know about like guardianship specifically. I mean, you could think of it in some ways as like divine providence, so maybe, but I don't think that's exactly what you're asking. It can mean God as in like the kind of Christian monotheistic sense, but usually it's added, like Sama is added at the end, so like Kami-sama, that just kind of elevates it beyond like what a person might consider would be appropriate for something like the Kami of a river, like the Kohaku River in like Spirited Away, I think is what it was called. As creepy as Godskins are, you'd almost expect them to be called Oni as opposed to Kami, though. You don't know if those two terms are exactly contrary to each other. So they're not like God-skinned. They skin gods, if that makes sense. So I know like the tan demigod skin like is supposed to like symbolize them, but maybe they're supposed to have like skin of stone almost, but it's a little bit different than that. And I think they really get their name from their actions rather than like what they are. Oh no, I guess Kamihara, I think it's a little bit of both. When I mentioned like some of the Godskin stuff, the Sinister Stromboli, he had the thought that they may have cloaked themselves in Godskin attire, so that way like their skin would gain the properties of Godskins, kind of similar to the way that maybe Rykard eating the serpent would work, or the way that like Miranda flowers transform, or like the way the glintstone miners can get glintstone on them. Also, Saturn, welcome back to the stream. You always thought of Kami as more of a guardian spirit of a particular locale. So that can be part of it, but not... They're not necessarily like a guardian spirit, but they can be. So, yeah, if you want to talk about it that way, you can come to that conclusion, but... It's not really like guardian, it's more like screw around and find out. So like if you come into somebody's house and you screw it up, like they're gonna like get pissed off at you and maybe attack you. Kind of like the same thing with Kami. You think that Smotown's take that the sword is depicting flames is probably the safest? So he thinks it looks like flames. I could see that. Oh no, we have another Saturn. Welcome into the chat, Saturn. I'm gonna have to call the other one Sundry. It's Sundry. You feel that if the Godskins were to be from after Godwin's death, they would have been mentioned in the opening? The focus on the Black Knives makes you think they're more ancient. I understand why you feel that way, but I wouldn't rely on saying that something should be where it isn't, because that'll really trip you up in trying to look at a lot of FromSoft games. Because, I mean... As I always bring up Filianor, like you would think that she should be brought up way before the final DLC of Dark Souls 3 as a child of the big dude in Dark Souls 1, but that's not what happens, unfortunately. Kami can be guardians, but it's not really their intrinsic nature to be. Yeah, that's kind of... The fact that the largest number of them we find is in Farum Azula makes you think they're from there. Their assimilation of other life forms makes it sound like they turn into dragons. That's kind of... It looks way cool. What is going on with the skybox? It looks way cooler out here before like the dust comes in. This is so wonky. Has a sound effect? It's kind of cool. Kind of sounds like glass or something. Radahn's Great Rune. And this isn't going to say like anything too crazy in this version of the game either. A large shard found in the hand of Radahn the Star Scourge. The shard is from one of the 4 large rings that make up the Elden Ring. Equipping this, blah blah blah. Okay. Oh yeah, we could always use the rune to show off. Okay, we might actually have enough stats to use the giant flame spell thing. Let's go back to Leyndell to get ready for that. Who is trying to keep someone's existence a secret? Oh, Filianor, okay. Filianor was most likely created for the DLC and there's just no plan for her. Yeah, and that's kind of my point. Like, it seems really obvious that if she was going to be a figure, they would have, like, incorporated her more holistically into the game. especially with Gwendolyn being called Gwyn's lastborn. So she's either the third youngest child or something along those lines. Rabs Rabble, welcome back to the stream. Has anyone come up with a good idea of what the towers are for? So some people have wondered whether or not, like, they could be kind of the equivalent of docks that a floating Fair Missoula could have, like, traveled between, which I think is a really cool idea. They might have been a way to, like, transport souls up into the sky. They could have just been a way for ancient peoples to come into contact with the primeval current, since they're, like, powered by, like, meteors and stuff on the inside. Yeah, sometimes lores I made it up later. LOL, exactly. You see how Mogro swings during this fight. The Omen formed the Dynasty, the Dragon, the Crucible Knights, and Misbegotten. It all seems to connect to the Crucible, and the Crucible is the Erd Tree. And right. And don't forget that the oldest Godskin apostles are compared to the Crucible, so it would have been during that time. Most likely. Which would still, like, put it after the war against the Giants, kind of. At the very least before the Golden Order. Alright, so let's equip the thing. 16 faith. And then use a rune arc for once. You just assumed the towers were for the Two Fingers to observe the tree in reverence while they gain their Empyrean instructions from the Greater Will. And that's another great theory for it. Towers are powered by meteors. You must have missed that secret. Maybe saying, like, powered by it is a little bit too lackadaisical on my part. But they definitely have, like, meteors built into them. And they do have some, like, weird magic that causes the elevators to float up. And there's also this weird dark mist that floats down from the from the air in there, which I think is kind of reminiscent of the black mist that is in Radigan and the black mist that the Elden Ring comes out of, or the Elden Beast rather. Which one is it? Fire's Deadly Sin. Alright, here we go. Let's look at the sigil. There is no sigil. I guess that would explain why it's blank in retail as well. So is it not related to the fire giants either? This one's red, it's not black, which isn't surprising. So I'm going to have to look at other fire giant incantations and compare them in this version of the game. It explains why the Nox wanted to make dragons, and it makes you wonder why America's order shuns omens and misbegotten when those are divine traits. Yeah, I think all of your observations there are pretty much on point. So, it's just trying to reconcile all these various threads coming together in such a way that it seems like they shouldn't, you know? What was I doing? Oh, yeah. Alright, we should be good. I guess I could leave it on. No, I'm going to take it off, though. This one has been useless. Don't have enough for either of these quite yet. Pleiades. Is there any caster that I'm going to be facing? Gelmir's Fury. I don't have enough for that naturally. This one should be good though. Don't remember exactly what this one does though. I want to check it out. That'll probably do. You don't know the language used for the Godskin noble armor. It seems to you to liken them to the Crucible as if it would be counterintuitive. Yeah, I agree there. So yeah, I've wondered if that means they shouldn't be considered related to the Crucible, and they're just similar, well, that they're not related to the Crucible, but they're similar to it in a different way. So I think that's a perfectly valid other way to read it. Which is, you know, a bit annoying that nothing is ever set in stone in these games. A weird description about the anchor until you realize that the Misbegotten have the same custom of wielding axes and great axes as Godfrey's tribe. Those cleavers are considered axes, aren't they? So it's kind of a good thing we're talking about Misbegotten and whatnot now, because there's going to be a lot of them over here. So we do have like the Nox little panel showing up again in this area of Leyndell. It's completely covered by ash, and it's a lot farther away from the fortified manor, so it does lead more to suggest that the Erd Tree could have burned. Because after this burns the second time, well, after we burn it, this area fills up with even more ash, and we can go out into the little moat lake thing over there and deal with 3 of the Crucible Knights, not Crucible Knights, the avatars. Spirits, ulcerated tree spirits. Crepus is vile, doing work. Uh-oh. That's lucky. Surprised there's no finishing move from that. Exalted Flesh. So this is one of the weirder things. Oh damn, we woke him up. There we go. I should probably like redo my flasks. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, this is one of the weirder parts of the game because we have Misbegotten praying to the old style of tombs. So what this could tell us is Erd Tree burial probably wasn't such a thing during the time of the Crucible if they personally knew who these graves belonged to, but that's also a big if. And why would they be praying to graves if they were touched by the Crucible? It's probably because it just didn't absorb everything back into itself. The law of regression might not have been part of it. And to go along with that even further, there is a super unique and interesting Misbegotten over here because it is praying to a statue of the Sword Saint thing, Ishin, from Sekiro. So it's not like literally a unique model of it, it's just that there's no other Misbegotten anywhere that we see praying to these kinds of statues. So, does that mean there's a connection between the Misbegotten and this religion? Maybe. Oh yeah, this is a big boy actually. Not quite as big as like the Leonine Misbegotten, but a big boy nonetheless. So yeah, this area of Leyndell is very strange. Because we don't really have Misbegotten doing this stuff elsewhere. Okay, that's what I thought. Nothing too crazy. And there's a couple graves over here. I think there's like one item, but I don't remember it being important. Soporific reefs. Okay. Yeah, there's wiggle room for both interpretations. To Kolo, the implication is that the Tarnished stayed behind and they started to gain the power of the Crucible and transform into the Misbegotten. I don't know about that. I would disagree with that, because that would imply the Misbegotten still have grace. Or... yeah, I just don't think that tracks, to be honest. Mucho Stretchy, welcome back to the stream. You always wondered why there's Misbegotten in this area. Why would the anchor be found in the hand of a Misbegotten if not to connect the two? Well, we've seen Misbegotten like rebel and kill people in quite a number of places. So it wouldn't surprise me if a Tarnished died or was killed by one of these things. And it also wouldn't surprise me if they just looted a corpse and ended up coming up with it. So we do have like a Leonine Misbegotten down there as well. But there's really no reason to go down there because there's not like treasure. It doesn't drop a specific item. So I don't really intend to go down there. But I'm just showing that guy off. All the ash in the capital has always bothered you because there's never been a satisfactory explanation for it. Yeah, I agree. My explanation, and it's still dissatisfactory, is that the Erdtree was probably burned to usher in the Age of the Crucible, although it might have also been burned when it ushered in the Age of the Golden Order. Considering that the Crucible Knights, who are Godfrey servants, use the aspects of the Crucible, why would they not develop these traits eventually? Well, you could also ask like why Godwyn didn't look like a Misbegotten, or why Godfrey doesn't look like a Misbegotten as well. Like, there are humanoid folk that existed before Godfrey became Elden Lord, because how else would he look the way that he does? Well, I guess you could make the argument that he, like, transformed himself, but I don't really think there's a lot to suggest that. Not to, like, put words in your mouth or anything like that. Mucho Stretchy has lately been thinking that all the ash came from the Erdtree when Marika shattered the ring, burning it, Radagon's nature being needed to break it in the first place. Yeah, that's also a possibility that it could have been during the shattering. It's so annoying to me that this dude can ride on his horse, but we can't pull out Torrent right here, because I just love to speed through the Divine Tower bridges. Speaking of which, I've mentioned before when we first came into Leyndell, the style of the masonry doesn't quite match up with the style of the masonry on the ramparts. So, in the Divine Tower, we have, like, you know, the Divine Tower Sword Saint dudes, all that stuff. But this stuff could have come later, because it doesn't match up either, although it does look a lot more natural here. It's a little bit easier to show it off with the pre-cam, but the bricks on the bridge itself are kind of older than this stuff over here, which is a lot smoother. Let's try to get a better angle of it. Oh, probably up there would be good. So it's not the greatest, but you can tell, like, it's a darker gray color. The bricks are more uneven and all that, whereas, like, the stuff looks a lot better. So I have wondered whether or not, like, the Divine Bridge statues and whatnot came after the fact, and if the Sword Saints shouldn't necessarily be related directly to the Divine Towers. If it's just something that How did he not shoot at me the first time? And all that. Okay. So sorry for going on those tangents right there. Christina, welcome back to the stream. A Misbegotten is holding the Golden Order sword, and they can use its special move. And if you remember correctly, the Misbegotten file name is something like Radigan Spawn. Yeah, I don't know about the naming for it specifically, but that one might have just been to reference the one that's holding the Golden Order Greatsword. The interesting thing about that one in this version of the game is it still has like the Ancient Erd Tree sigil, which I think is just like a placeholder item effect. But anyway, yeah, I would need to look at the internal text because, as we've seen with like Daughter of America or America of Daughter, there's most likely some wonky machine translation going on at work to obfuscate things. Godwin is connected to dragons by their lightning. Sort of, but not exactly. Like, if anything, that just shows that his draconic nature wasn't native to him. I'm going to get the Side of Grace and then go back up the tower and then talk about this stuff, which I'm excited to get to in just a moment. Torrance's Spirit Horse? That looks like a real one? You got me. He just found it as kind of a lazy explanation. Why not try to entertain the notion? I mean, I am entertaining the notion, but I mean, a Misbegotten is not tarnished. I mean, maybe you want to make the argument the whole reason that Hugh can go into the Round Table Hold is because he's formerly tarnished. But I feel like that would be a bigger part in the lore, as you'd said, with the other thing. Oh, fudge, I missed it. I didn't realize I turned. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit different than retail. The funny thing is I took the free cam out on the other side of this wall. There's no window here, so this window's a lie. Not really. But anyway. In this we get the Blade of Calling, but there's no like official attire here. Dagger featuring a slender curved blade, given to one who set out on a journey to fulfill her duty long ago. Embers of its former master's power still smolder in the blade. The skill of Sacred Flame. Caster infuses blade with holy golden flames, then leaps up and unleashes light waves. And it's called Blade of Gold here, but Sacred Flame there. Sacred Flame there. So somebody in chat the other day mentioned that they thought this is Melena's blade directly, as in like that's the reason why it still has her power, which I didn't really consider for whatever reason, but I guess it could make sense. I just thought it would have belonged to somebody other than Melina, because we do see Melina with this blade, so why would she just like abandon the blade she has over here? It just doesn't fully track for me, at least. Godwin's Life and Death Thing is also found in Fair Missoula, and the Sunrealm Shield is also wielded by Beastman. He is the source of the Dragon Cults. Yeah, Colo, I know about the Moose May America thing. That's what I was talking about, like, with the machine translation obfuscating things. I talk about that in my Glomide Queen video. Does Millicent use Blade of Calling or the Shamshir? She uses the Shamshir. So for whatever reason, when we come up to this section of the Divine Tower, it fades to black and we get a kind of pseudo Four Kings battle going on. Where we're going to have two random Omen dudes just show up and try to attack us. So from this corpse... Oh, Lowlander's rune? Okay. Fell Twin. So that one's red. Maybe that one's supposed to embody Moog? What is up with its blade? Obviously does lacerating damage. And the music's super loud. I think I turned it up too high. Maybe I only had it at like 5 before. So the other dude's not really attacking. He has more horns, so he should have more cursed attacks. There we go. Yeah, so many people believe that these two omens are supposed to symbolize Moog and Morgott because... Did my stop not work? Did it just fall through the world again? Yeah, okay. I don't want to have to fight things properly. What is this? Uh-oh. Oh, that staggered him. Okay, thank goodness. Oh, distraction should work though, I think. Oh, it's gone, it's gone. Oh yeah, I have my mimics here as well. Dang, I suck. I have to actually fight. Nah, I mean, I could always just summon the mimic tier and pretend to fight. Oh, you can backstab these? I thought you couldn't. That makes things a lot easier. Sword of Milos type stuff going on. These are kind of tanky boys. Okay. One is down. Had to aggro both at once, huh? Yeah, of course. I got lucky with that hitbox. Oh, that was lucky. Oh no! I thought I had the one hand out. There we go. No cheesing necessary. Omen Killer Royo. It's probably Rollo. Yeah, I do think it's possible that America could be making multiple identities over and over, like discardable accounts. And I think it's also possible that Melina could have been one of them, if not like the Glomite Queen herself. Is reimagined in the frenzies as a metaphorical death, his old self dying and then transformed into someone illumined by the divine. Wait, what'd you say before that? Oh, that's why you're on. Hold on. The hunter Actaeon meets Diana, the moon, and is transformed in a frenzy of divine love, and is described as heroic. A heroic enthusiast leaves his beloved, still loving her, merely disregarding her instead in pursuit of the divine. That's why you're on the he always loved her line of thought. Okay. Actaeon died in the myth. Nice things denied again. So that's where his reimagined as a metaphorical death. Okay. The one with blood loss has no horns, and the one with the curved sword has many horns, yet Formless Mother is supposed to be somehow connected to the Omen. Maybe. But for what it's worth, like, Moog has kind of renounced his cursed Omen aspect. Like, he doesn't use curse stuff, he uses blood flame stuff. I think he uses his Omen curse as fuel for the blood flame specifically, but I don't know for sure. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about, Christina. Yeah, I've heard that version of the story as well. I'm making a little Espanol there. Well, just a little bit as a treat. Alright, so let's look at Royal real quick. Where he is. There he is. Wandering Executioner. Spirit Ashes summons the spirit of a wandering executioner from nearby a rebirth monument found throughout the land. So now that we have that one, we're gonna just teleport back to the Forbidden Lands. We could activate Morgoth's rune, but I don't really feel it's going to be too necessary until we get Moog's, so I'll just leave this alone for now. And let's go back on over here. Could the Formless Mother be attracted to the blood of the horn trimming? I don't know about like the horn trimming specifically. I think it's probably that curses are being seeped into his blood, and so oh no. That's not cool. Man, okay, I was gonna talk about the Forbidden Lands a little bit and just kind of end the stream there, because this is a pretty good place to stop and a pretty good place to like recount things. That sucks. So yeah, anyway, I was gonna say that I think it's possible all the red wisps in the air in the Forbidden Lands could be the remnants of a grace from a different kind of tree other than like the Erd tree, or like a different kind of grace other than like the Sites of Grace. So yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate that I can't like show that off right now. So, okay, well, another new technical issue to add to the list, I guess. F's in the chat indeed. No, I'm not connected to the internet, so that's just kind of a game crashing error. Although now that I think about it, it's kind of lucky that we haven't gotten the random get stuck in the air on torrent issue. Okay. That loaded up fast enough. That we should be able to get to the Forbidden Land stuff real quick. Do you think omens are like the ancestral spirits? They're like walking Erd trees, but because someone decided to be the one true goddess, they became excluded by the order. I don't really know how I feel about Omen, especially in comparison to the Misbegotten. Especially since they're stated to be graceless. That's the part that, like, is the most troubling to me. Alright, so yeah. Looking down into the Forbidden Lands, we've got this super cool looking, like, red wisp in the air, which is almost reminiscent of the way that this Grace Wisp looks itself. And I feel like they're way too similar to just be coincidence, especially because of all of the mysteries surrounding, like, the war against the giants and the birth of the Erdtree. But with that being said, it is unfortunate that we don't get these kind of wisps even more as we go up to, like, the flame of the giants and or the killing of the giants and all that. So, are these flames supposed to be related to these kinds of tree stumps? I don't really know. I think if anything, it would be more thematic if they were to relate to the Helfin, but we also don't find any Helfin around here specifically. There's a blue one in the Academy? The blue wisps? Oh, like with the glintstone? Yeah, but I do think that this looks different. Like the Academy one, I think looks more separate from this. But you are right. There is that kind of aurora there as well. Which should be explained by the glintstone. So if the Academy one is explained by glintstone, what's the explanation for this one? Just a flame of ruin? I don't know. Alright, Katie, you take care. Yeah, we're going to be ending it here as well. So everybody, once again, thank you for stopping in, watching, and commenting. I appreciate it. We will be going live again at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully we'll see you again there. And y'all have a good one. Take care. Last Protagonist out.